Hey guys, what's up? I know it's been a while. I hope everyone's staying safe through the corona situation. I know it's really boring during quarantine. Hope everyone's doing great. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Well, the point of this video, as the title suggests, these are some of the things that I don't like about my Cayenne. I want to make it very clear right now, I'm absolutely loving the car. It is a Cayenne GTS, in case you haven't seen the car before. It's beautiful, it's 2013. So far, I'm loving it. Kind of bought it for my dad to use as well, and he's loving it too. He loves it much more than the M6, so that's good news. So yeah, we're about 2 months in, and from an ownership perspective, you know, it's been great. So I thought I'd make another video kind of detailing the ownership experience and some things that I definitely would take into consideration. All right, guys, so the first thing on the list is probably the most common issue with these cars in general. Now, this car isn't, experiencing any of the symptoms of this issue. But I'll tell you why this is on the list, right? So it's called a transfer case issue, and it's basically the transfer case completely fails. And it's common across Cayenne generations, and it's common with these cars as well. Now, what the transfer case is it's basically a mechanical component that enables four-wheel drive, and it's what transfers power to and from the back wheels and what kind of monitors the power transmission. So, it's not something that this car has experienced, and I know that I'm talking about my ownership experience. But when you do own a car like this and you have in the back of your mind that a $3,000 to $5,000 component could fail at any time, it's extremely annoying. And with that being said, if it was an issue only with this generation of the Cayennes, I also wouldn't be mentioning it. But this is an issue that's been common with Cayennes for a number of years and across multiple generations. So, and Porsche isn't very, they're not very open about addressing the issue and helping customers through their problems with it. So that's another thing, if Porsche took the responsibility and said, all right, we kind of messed up and these things fail, and if we work with the owners to get them more permanent resolution, that would be something that was fine too. So that's just something, it's always plays on the back of your head. There's a bike. All right. And I know there's some other things that go wrong with the car, but the transfer case is kind of the thing that I've seen pop up among most users and most people. Not 100% failure rate, but rate high enough that it's always playing on the back of your mind, and that's just one thing that it's like an impending doom kind of thing. I don't know how expensive it's going to be, and if it is expensive, it's something that I really don't want to happen to this car anyway. Next thing, we're going to hop inside. All right, so this has to do with kind of the driving characteristics and driving dynamics of the car, right? So if you look right here, these are the kind of suspension stuff, and this is not what we're going to talk about, suspension differential. It has to do with this button right here. Now, as you all know, I have a BMW M car, and I've seen how this is done in those kinds of cars, and that's something that I can appreciate. And what they do is they break down the different aspects of the driving experience into sport, comfort, and sport plus. So, you can change how kind of aggressive do you want the throttling, the throttle to be. So, how much you have to actually press on it for it to deliver a certain amount of power. If you put it in Sport Plus, the second you tap on it, it instantly delivers a lot of power, comfort. You have to kind of press it, and then the turbos kind of spool up to give you a smoother but more kind of linear power progression. So that's the first thing. Second thing is it gives you kind of suspension stiffness, and the third thing is it gives you kind of steering weight. So how heavy do you want the wheel to be, and how much kind of connection, and how what kind of ratio do you expect the wheel to have as you're turning it, kind of thing. So those are three buttons, and then the fourth button kind of deals with how much do you want it to hold it in lower RPMs, like the transmission, right? So if you're driving on track, you want the TCU to essentially hold the revs in the higher part of the range, because that's what gives you the most power. Now, this car has a 4.8 liter naturally aspirated V8. So at some points, that just to keep breaking up, holding it into higher rev ranges and a sharper throttle response are two important things, but they should be kept independent in my opinion. So, and the reason that is this car drinks gas. Like if I put it in sport mode, I want it to be a sensitive throttle response, in the sense I want it to be sensitive to when I give it input for an aggressive driving experience. But I don't want it to hold it at 4,000 or 5,000 RPM consistently, or 6,000 RPM, which is where it keeps it when I put it in sport, because that absolutely destroys the mileage. And if that is something in the back of your mind, and I didn't realize this when I was driving the car, is that I can't do that. And honestly, it keeps me out of driving in sport quite a bit, because, okay, I'm going to get a bunch of enthusiasts saying it's worth the money, but at the end of the day, You know, do I really want to be doing 7.8 mpg and having to refuel every 100 and something miles? Not really. You know, I hope I made that clear, but that's the problem with that sport button, is they need to split that up. I don't know if they've done it in the newest Cayennes, but in the 958.2s, I don't believe they have. I think it's the same setup. All right, and the next thing. Okay, so I'm gonna try and make this review as practical as possible, right? The back seats are folded down. I'll point out some stuff back there later. But first thing I want to point out is, day to day, this cup holder placement is terrible. I don't know why. I've owned multiple cars and I've never had a problem where I keep knocking drinks onto myself. I've never experienced this problem, so I don't know if it's just me, but this is just one thing that I cannot figure out why it's happening. So, you know, if you have any insight, you have one of these cars, you know what's up, let me know. But yeah, that's just one thing that I had the most unusual experience with. All right, and sitting here as well, multimedia system. I don't know if this is a glitch for this car or not. You know, it could be. It's all software, but there's no volume indicator. It sounds like a really dumb issue, but you know, when you have a media button and, you know, imagine you just get in the car and you don't know if your Bluetooth is synced, or you have to switch to Bluetooth mode, right? Because in this car, it doesn't automatically switch to Bluetooth when your phone syncs up. You actually have to manually switch it. And you know, it's pretty common that you don't know, you know, when you're cycling through modes, sometimes your phone, the music doesn't play when you expect it to. So the first thing you instinctively do is increase the volume, right? So the music doesn't play and I increase the volume. And then I realized, okay, it's probably not playing. It's probably not because the volume is low. It's probably because the music itself is on pause or something like that. So then I opened my phone and I immediately pressed play. But I forgot that I turned the volume up halfway. So the volume starts pounding through the speakers and it just absolutely deafens you. So, you know, if you had a volume knob, you would immediately know whether or not it's because your volume is on mute or not, or like a volume indicator, but they don't. There's no indicator to tell you how much the volume is actually at. So even now, I don't know what the volume is at. I've just been twisting it to demonstrate a point and I don't know what my volume is at. So the next time I connect my music, if I had forgotten to turn it all the way down, my music probably would have deafened me. So that's just something that I don't understand why that's not in there. Again, I'm trying to make this review as practical as possible. These are practical issues that I'm facing every single day. All right, so I'm gonna be honest. You're gonna realize the lighting is a lot different. That's because I forgot to shoot this bit when I was shooting the other bit. So it's gonna be completely off. It's dark outside and, you know, don't call me out. I messed up. All right, so this section has to do with the seats. Now, this car came with the sport seats, the Alcantara with the leather, and or like the suede Alcantara, whatever you want to call it, with the leather. And I absolutely loved it when I went to buy the car. Now, I'm realizing it may have a few downsides to it. First and foremost, from a daily driver perspective, this is a family car, and road trips are definitely going to happen in these cars, and it's not the best. I feel a lot of pressure by my hips and by my lower back, and it's not going to be the most comfortable car to maybe do 8 to 10 hour drives in if you have a little bit of chunkiness going on in the midsection. So, you know, that is something to be wary of. And these seats are also not, I think that, so the regular seats come with, you know, lumbar and a bunch of other stuff which you can adjust. You know, this is only, the base goes front and back, the base goes up and down, and then the back part goes front and back. So it's not the most adjustable seat either. So if that is something that you like to, you know, take into consideration as your seating position, seats may be something you may want to look into. Other than that, this also has the Alcantara wheel and the sports wheel, and again, it is a relationship you're gonna have to get used to. M6 has all the buttons on the wheels, so I can adjust everything without having to take my hands off the wheel at all. This does not, so I have to take my hands off the wheel if I want to do things with the multimedia system, with the GPS and all that stuff. So that is something that I'm giving and taking. And then the Alcantara suede the Alcantara suede steering wheel, sweaty hands, yeah, you're gonna have some issues there. So yeah, the sports interior, sports cabin thing, give and take relationship, so give and take. All right, and you know, I'm just gonna stress this point a little bit more. So since it's a very practical ownership complaint session, gas mileage, not the best. Most of the cars that my parents have owned and I've owned until now have been efficient. If they're not being driven aggressively. And this car is not one of those cars. So if you are looking to buy one, make sure that's something you keep into consideration, keep in your mind. 93 octane, and if you're driving aggressively, 6 mpg. That is one thing that I'm not super happy with, but at the same time, again, I know what I bought into, but it's just something you should definitely keep in mind. So coming to the back, I locked myself out. Coming to the back seats. I have a lot of junk in here. Let me just throw this all out there. These rear seats do not fold flat. Now, they're a little bit angled, and I know that. And, you know, I had to do a little bit of moving the other day, which is why I have some stuff back in here, stuff I still didn't clear out. But those seats are not folded flat. Now, for me, not a big deal. I don't carry around too much stuff. I have an SUV for the 4-wheel drive, not for the actual cargo capacity. But if you are someone that needs to ferry things around or carry stuff in the trunk of your car, that is something you should keep in mind, is that these seats do not fold flat. You know, if you have a dog or whatever, you like to fold the seats, put a cargo net, it's not a flat seat. And yeah, everyone, so that was just a couple minutes about me kind of, you know, taking some swings at the Cayenne GTS. With that being said, though, I absolutely love the car. That's all I have, by the way. It's not, I haven't run into too many issues. Again, we're 2 months in. I'm absolutely loving the car, loving the driving experience, as is my dad, who is a 50-something-year-old, kind of very mature individual. So if you are a 50-something-year-old, very mature individual, or you're a 22-year-old who likes to drive, it satisfies both of those requirements. The exhaust has got a secondary cat delete and resonator delete, if I'm not mistaken. The previous owner did reach out to me on Instagram, so that's pretty cool. So I know a lot about the previous history of this specific car as well. So, you know, the exhaust is something that's absolutely phenomenal. I love it. It burbles, crackles. I'm going to do a dedicated POV video, I promise. I'm trying to get better camera equipment so I can set it up on the outside of the car and get more authentic and accurately reproduced audio. So with that being said, you know, I absolutely love the car, love the driving experience. I am getting the transfer case fluid flushed in a couple of days. So kind of a preemptive measure to figure out whether or not your transfer case is going to explode is to change the fluid out. There's actually an oil that goes into the transfer case. The transfer case is somewhere around here. But there's actually a fluid that goes into that to kind of keep circulating in there. And apparently if you flush it and if it comes out all black, it means the transfer case is kind of grinding competence, and that's basically metallic residue that's making it black. Something along those lines is what I've understood. So I'm going to do a flush over the next couple of, within a couple of days, and I'll keep you guys posted on exactly what's up with that. You know, with that being said, please everyone stay safe. Please everyone stay sane during Corona. I know it sucks. We're all stuck in the house. Go for drives, enjoy your time. Soon you're gonna be back to work. You're gonna wish you had more vacation time. All right, guys, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you do want to see any more content, please reach out to me. Ooh, that's a beautiful i8. All right, sorry, got distracted there. If you have any more questions, please reach out. I will definitely let you guys know about the transfer case issues. And with that being said, all right, I'll see you guys soon.